Good afternoon, friends. Now we are live, and today we are going to discuss on very important and new topic, that is moon, mind, and homeopathy. As we are aware that there is a definitive relationship between the, all the planets that are available on in this universe, and we being the part of universe, we are equally affected by the each and every planets. And because moon is very close to us, we find it very much similar to us, very much important, useful for us for having the good relationship with it in all the situations. Friends, moon, effects of the moon, and what are the possibilities of having the moon is very important for us. And we must be aware about the definitive changes about and what are the impacts and how we can use it medically in our system of the homeopathic system of medicine. So today we are going to share my views on this important topic, and which will help you to know all the rubrics uh, which includes the moon as at its center point. So I'm sharing my PPT so that we can have a better uh, knowledge about it. Now, friends, this is uh, moon, mind, and moon, mood, and homeopathy. I say moon, my mood, because moon has got its great relationship with our mood. It is assumed that moon reflects the light of sun, and its energy affects the water and the mind. The notion that moon has a powerful effect on the human mind is deeply integrated in the culture and the lore. And since the ancient time, we are very much talk about the moon, and whenever moon we see the moon, we have some thoughts related to it. And as a child, when we are born, we look at the sky and see what a beautiful night during the full moon night, how beautiful the moon looks at. So let us see how much it is related to us. Moon is also known as the Luna, and this is scientifically proven, is why when someone goes crazy, they are called lunatic. Lunatic means mentally insane or mad, and it has been scientifically proved that whenever there is a change in the moon, or and there are changes in the mood of the man, and some people even go to the extent of very violent anger, anxiety, tensions, all type of the negative emotions get inflated during the during the 1 or 2 phase of the moon. So that's why the lunatic word, which is derived from the Luna, the name Luna, that is also the uh, terminology for the moon. The word lunatic is derived from the word lunar because the mind is connected to the moon. The word lunacy, which comes from the Latin word lunaticus, means something like the moonstruck. Since the innumerable ancient researchers had made detailed study about how the moon affects the mind and how the moon is moving around the different constellations. It has been observed that there are different degrees of the moon, which brings a definite impact on the mind. The moon is one constellation of for 2.5 days. Then they move to the another constellation. So the phases, constellations phases. So in the 2.5 days, there are changes in the mood and the mood and the mind. The moon has an effect on water, and our body contains lot of water. So basically, you see that moon has got the important relationship with the water. When the moon, in the sea also, there are the tides and the waves, and the motion of the water becomes very violent during the night when the moon appears in the sky. David Avery, a psychiatrist at the University of Washington School of Medicine, specializes in treating mood disorder, and it has done extensive research in the circadian rhythm and phototherapy. In 2004, a patient came to him with rapid cycling bipolar disorder. The connection between sleep and bipolar disorder isn't new. Alexandra Gold, a clinical fellow at Harvard Medical School, whose research includes the role of sleep in bipolar disorder, points out that decades of research have shown that regular schedules of and life uh, are among the components for maintaining the mood stability. Spendice's discovery in 1970, Thomas Ware, now a scientist emeritus at the National Institute of Mental Health and one of the pioneers of research into sleep and circadian rhythm in humans, looked at the sleep pattern in 17 patients with bipolar disorder and noted odd patterns that seemed to match lunar cycle. And another two researchers teamed up to analyze the data in 2018. Avery and Ware published a paper detailing their joint discovery. The moon really does influence mood. Decades of studies have missed the effect because they focused on only one type of lunar cycle and looked at groups of subjects whose varied response cancelled each other. Mysterious mechanic is also another research. The pattern is definitely there when you know how it is to spot it. But every noted back in 2004, the mechanism is still mystery. One possibility, he says, is that vestibular system, which is important for balance and can detect gravity, could be affecting sleep and circadian rhythm. But there are other possibilities. The moon could be changing the magnetic field because causing changes in the cryptochromes in the hypothalamus and changing the body clock in that way. He says, but right now it appears as though gravity is the main aspect. Now, effect of the moon on on our body. According to ancient scripture, the moon affects our body, and ancient Indian scriptures such as Vishnu Purana talk about the origin of the moon. According to this Puran, the moon has emerged from the Milky Ocean with its soft and snowy beams. Food that we consume is converted into two parts: mind, energy, and prana. The mind energy is centered in the pineal gland area from which the vital hormones get secreted. The moon enters in this gland to take control of all our activities from night till the time we wake up. The rays of the moon affect human beings, animals, plants, water, and so on. And because our body consists 60% water, so the full moon meditation helps the seeker going inward, transcendent the mind, and feels the divinity within. Now, the idea that the moon can influence mood is not new. In fact, for many years, people believe the moon affects human behavior. It has been observed that moon affects the type of water in sea. Human body comprises about 60 to 70% of water. So the moon controls the control over water, meaning that we too could be affected by the gravitational pull. Some people find that moon affects them more than other factors. Supersensitive find themselves more vulnerable, but body can react totally differently to someone else. So the key is to listen the body and do what feels right. Now, how many phases of the moon are there? So let us see. These are the phases: new moon, then waxing crescent, first quarter moon, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, third quarter moon, and waning crescent. So these are the phases of the moon, which are and each phase has got the changing patterns, and during each phase we feel some experiences. So these are the new moon. You see the type of the new moon. This is the waxing crescent. This is the first quarter, and this is the waxing gibbous, and this is the full moon. Where we and then it is again now it is waning, and then again the third quarter and waning crescent. So the cycle goes on, and because of the moving planets is moving, our Earth is moving, and Earth is rotating around the moon is rotating around the Earth, and the Earth is rotating around in a different pattern. So there is a change. We see the moon in different phases. Uh, New moon affects the new moon is the fresh start. At this point, the sun and moon are in the same side of as the earth, so they aren't opposing each other nor causing feeling on tension. So during the new moon, you don't have the tension. At this stage, cycle one will calm down, feel yet motivated for the cycle ahead. So during the new moon, our mood are very silent or very calm. Now, waxing crescent, it is typically for the 7 day. The week leading up to the first quarter moon is the time for intentions and goals. This week, one finds more excited and uh, are keen to get stuck in and really deliver on intentions. So now this is the beginning, the thought, when you are quite in the during the new moon. Now for the next 7 days, your mood is changing, and you are getting excited to do something to deliver, and intentions become more prominent. Then first quarter moon. The first quarter moon is where one might start feeling a bit worse to wear. Now the worst, getting more excited, you are becoming feel resistance and frustration. One may be feeling impatient, especially if some goals are set that haven't quite come into the fruition yet. Now then the waxing gibbous. It is typically for the 7 day, and after the resistance and frustration of the first quarter, the themes surrounding the waxing gibbous period are those the adjustment, refining, and editing. So after the frustration, you try to control your mind, and you try to make an adjustment, and you try to correct yourself. Now then comes the full moon. Full moon, the full moon is a time of big emotions. All the emotions are excited. One may be feeling overwhelmed and a bit snappier than usual. The full moon also signals a few sleep changes, so one may find lying awake at night or not sleeping as deeply as usual. Now again comes now it is waning now time. It takes about 5 days, and after the tension of the full moon during the waning gibbous, one will find to begin. Now one becomes loose. Now one becomes slightly relaxed. Then comes the third quarter moon. As the moon is gradually decreasing in size, one will want to get rid of any grudge or resentment feeling, especially from the harder points of the month. Feelings of cleanliness will be strong, and waning crescent, that 7 day, with the final stretch of the lunar cycle, you will feel exhausted by the past month and want to unwind as the new moon approaches. One may be feel thoughtful and start to consider what to do well and what you could have done better. So this is the cyclic changes in your mood that gets affected with the changing pattern of the moon during the night. So new moon and full moon. This is the what is the meaning? The new moon, the time when the moon is exactly between the earth and the sun, marks the starting point of the moon repetitive cycle. At this position, the moon is dark in the sky. No light is reflected from its surface, as the earth facing side is receiving no light from the sun. At this point, the moon begins the cycle. Over the course of coming 14 nights, the surface of the moon increasingly becomes visible from Earth. Increasingly becomes visible from Earth. Gradually, Gradually, more sunlight reaches the moon, and we perceive the moon becoming bigger and rounder. This phase of the moon cycle is described as the waxing moon. La Muna reaches the halfway mark of its cycle during the 14th night. At this location, its earth-facing surface is fully enlightened by the sunlight, and we on the earth see it as a full moon. Now, after the full moon, the enlightened area of the moon reduces over coming 14 days. The moon is in the waning phase. The dark area of the moon because becomes bigger and enlightened area smaller until the moon becomes entirely dark again, and the phenomena of the new moon reoccurs. The moon cycle has reached the end point, which is also known as the starting point for the new cycle. So, for all life on earth of our human body, development and existence, this cycle plays a great role than we are nowadays anticipate or acknowledge. As such, there are energetic influence that impact us, our bodily functions, system, and our doing. At a new moon, the body has the greatest capacity to detox. So you can lose all the waste from your body, and at this time, the cleaning for checking out the old and welcoming the new. For endeavor, venture, and feast, this is the most positive starting point for the moon cycle. The waxing moon, it is a most beneficial time for regeneration, for recovery and recuperation. It is the time for of uptake, intake, of storing energy, and of gaining strength and power. The full moon, this is the time of impaired and slowed healing. Wounds bleed more at this time. On this day, our emotions are most volatile. And the waning moon is a time of relief. It is the phase of increased activity of greatest power. In the old age, much attention was paid to the positive position of the moon as it provided the schedule of the sowing seed for generating the best crop and growing the strongest plant. The cutting of the tree is not recommended on day at the certain position of the moon, as the wounds will not heal well and the tree loses much of the life juice. Similarly, in human health care, surgery is not recommended on some days. In particular, at the full moon, there will be increased hemorrhage and bad wound healing. So, one infrequently, if at all, do we nowadays relate any occurrence or incidents to the phases of the moon? The moon hardly plays a role in our schedule, and our hectic lifestyle has no space for the finely tuned sensitivity needed to perceive on the wisdom to recognize the subtle forces on the celestial of our celestial luminary. We commonly register the immense impact, and without relating it to the moon, yet paying attention to those seemingly imperceptible influencing factors may permit living a more balanced and harmonious existence. Such fluctuation of the rhythms of nature can be very valuable and may have truly positive and beneficial impact on our many aspects of our life. Now, what is the impact on the full moon emotion fed by the moon? So this is the full moon affects our body and it affects the ocean. Since our body are made up proportionally of so much water, it is easy to understand that moon would pull up and sway us like the ocean. And when the moon is full, it is claimed that it is high tide for the emotions and the one gets swept off. It magnifies emotions. During the full moon, our moods are magnified, emotions are magnified. Everyone has both light and the dark inside them, the positive or negative. The full moon takes the strongest quality and enhance them. The full moon has a way of bringing both sides uh, out into the open. In the literal sense, what the full moon does is expand and it magnifies everything. It intensifies the feeling. Our feelings are intensified during the full moon. Can magnify Full moon can magnify, make people feel things more intensely. This can be good or bad, depending on the state of mind when the full moon rises. The passionate Scorpio, for example, is already an intense sign, so things can get even more heated for this sign under the full moon. It can make you feel really close to people. But if one is too empathetic and don't feel energy, well, one could end up the feeling really drained. Now, full moon, we have the full of energy. The full moon also can lend an increased sense of energy. For instance, they would react much differently to the energy of the full moon. They love the full moon because it is all about passion and creativity and enthusiasm. They take that more that full moon energy and put it in the new ventures. It illuminates. The full moon provides more literal light than other phases of the moon, but it also illuminating property in terms of awareness and realization. People react differently with the illuminations of moon. Some don't like to be focused of attention or conversation with little uncomfortable feeling. Some have a better sense of visibility about their privacy. And then it also destabilizes your life. People find this time rather troublesome. All the magnified energy that the full moon provides takes up the usual routine. As emotions fade and strengthen, it is a time of uncertainty, and they couldn't be energy. They don't like energy that destabilizes their environment. It makes them uncomfortable. Now it makes us moody. The light side of the full moon is that they feel like they have more energy than even to the communicate their feelings, to love their family, to be intimate with their partners. The other side of that is that they can become overwhelmed by their own feelings. And money woes. Uh, they have a focus on finance at the full moon with heightened anxiety about the money. While this full moon could provide great potential for success with financial endeavor, the full moon tends to bring out intense energy between people, and so it's harder for the to stabilize the harmony. Now, homeopathy, we see that there is a beautiful book by Dr. C.M. Boger where he writes the time of the remedy and moon phases. Times of Remedies and Moon Phases by C.M. Boger is based upon the Boger's uh, own practical observations and long clinical experiences. He was between 1860 and 1935. He emphasized that importance of time factor and moon phases in the action of the drugs. This repertory mentioned about the aggravations and ameliorations of complaints in the time frame, that is in accordance to hour, day, week, month, year and session. While compiling this repertory, Dr. Boger follows Bornegison's schema of repertorial presentation. In the moon phases section, he refers exclusively to cured cases which he undertook to order to determine their relative importance of remedy in this respect. He analyzed and compared the action of certain remedy in the various phases of moon, like a growing moon, growing, full, waning, new moon, and depicted their action in the form of chart. This work was published as a book in 1935. Then aggravations or ameliorations during the full moon phase. This question has been uh, in every homeopathic physicians ever since the great legendary observations by Boger was proposed. Dr. Boger discovered in his observation that there has been this specific time when the specific remedy has peculiar aggravations time and ameliorations time. At the same moment, it is also observed that the period of modality are very frequently related to the moon phases. It is noticed that the remedy as well as the patient both showed periods of aggravation or amelioration in a very definite relation to the lunar movement. Now there are some rubrics related to the moon. In the mind chapter, you will see mind barking during the moon, barking during the full moon, barking moon full at the moon barking, then barking moon full during, hysteria moon during, hysteria moon increasing aggravates, and mind mental symptoms moon phases aggravates. Mind moon. Mind moon, full moon aggravate. Mind restlessness during the moon. Restlessness moon, full moon during. Restlessness moon, full moon during. Hurting himself because of restlessness. Hurting himself. Causing, this is mutilating his body rubric. Then somnambulous moon during. And somnambulous full moon aggravate. And somnambulous new moon aggravate. In the bracketed, you see it indicates the number of medicines. Now, ear is also related. Ear aggravations in the hearing pattern in the moon. Ear full moon. Ear moon full moon aggravate. Full moon during aggravate and stop sensation in the ear during the full moon and impaired mood with the full aggravations. Now, in the rectum, also there is a rubric itching anus around the full moon. Warm complaints of worm during the full moon. 5 remedies are there. Worms complaints of worm, tapeworm moon during. Worms complaints of worms, tapeworm full moon during. And worm complaints of worm, tapeworm waning moon during. Now, in the bladder chapter also, the involuntary urination in the night during the full moon, and then involuntary urine full moon. In the genitalia chapter, the licoria, the full moon aggravates, the full moon at during the licoria full moon before. Then menses with the moon, menses during the full moon, menses full instead of the new appeared later at the full moon, and menses moon full or new, menses moon new. Then meteorrhagia, moon with the meteorrhagia during the full moon, meteorrhagia moon full before 3 days aggravates, and meteorrhagia moon new 4 days. Then in the respiration chapter, there is the asthmatic moon, full moon during. Now cough during the moon, full moon, new moon, and expectorations bloody, full moon during. Chest hemorrhage of the lungs, full moon during. Sleep disturbed anxiety form moon, full during, and disturbed moon, full. Then sleep disturbed nightmare by the moon during the full, and sleepiness day moon at the new moon, sleepiness moon at the new, and sleepiness moon. Sleepiness moon, sleeplessness, sleeplessness at the moon, sleeplessness full moon, and sleeplessness at the new moon, and sleeplessness, sleepiness with the full moon. This is alternating symptoms. Then waking in the night, midnight. This is the sleep chapter. Midnight after the 2 hours full moon at. Then in the dream chapter, you will have the moon. Moon, you dream out the moon. Multiple moon are there. Orange moon are there, and nightmares are there at the full moon. So skin is also affected, and skin eruptions get increased with the full moon. Eruptions moon with the full increases eruptions, and skin eruptions moon with the full increase eruptions. Then skin moon aggravates full and the new. Then in the generative chapter, we'll have the chorea during the moon, chorea full moon at the chorea moon, new moon, convulsions, epileptic moon during, convulsions, epileptic moon full, convulsion, epileptic moon new, convulsion moon, convulsion moon aggravates, convulsion moon full moon aggravates, and convulsion full moon during. And again in the generality chapter, the decreasing moon aggravate, first quarter moon aggravate, first quarter related medicines, then full moon aggravate, 77 remedies are there, and full moon aggravate and ameliorate, this is 3 remedies are there, full moon aggravate periodically, and full moon aggravate periodical alternating with the full moon every. So full moon ameliorates, full moon, new moon aggravates, and five. So 5 remedies are there. Moon increasing and decreasing with the moon complaints are. Then increasing moon aggravates. So again, in the last quarter, moon aggravation in the last quarter, the whole phases that we have mentioned earlier is related. Last phase aggravates, new moon aggravates, new moon ameliorates, moon aggravates, then crescent moon waning, waning moon, gibbous moon waning, and waxing moon 41 remedy, and waxing moon aggravates, crescent moon, waxing this, and again waxing moon aggravates, gibbous moon. I have just explained you what are the meaning of the waxing, waning, new moon, crescent moon. So this has been already described. So you can find it very much useful for your analysis of the patient. Then in the generality chapter, there is a swelling gland off during the full moon. So friends, it is important, but what is more important is that you have to have a thorough investigation, because patients are not prepared with the telling you about the moon. So you have to, and usually we discover, but some patients are very sensitive and they will tell you at the very first informations also. But in some patients you can discover the symptoms when you are following up the case, when you are when they keep on reporting. So it is better that when a patient comes to you, you have to ask us when the problems are increasing or decreasing. And if in this way, if you go through the 2 or 3 months, you can learn, you can understand what type of the relationship is there with the changing pattern of the moon. And there are some medicines which has been prepared from the moon ray. And the important medicine that you can find it, the Clark dictionary, is Luna. Luna, it is the moon rays. A sugar of milk is poured on a glass plate to the moon's ray and is stirred with the glass rod meanwhile. The sugar of milk so charged is dynamized in the usual way, Sincave method, and Hinge made a preparation by exposing pure water to the moon's ray for 3 or 4 hours in South America and dynamizing the water so charged. Then in the Clark dictionary, there are some rubrics, some important symptoms which has been mentioned under the this medicine. The clinical, it is important for acidity, epilepsy, headache, intermenstrual flow, edema, physometra, somnambulism, and worm. Then mental symptoms that is important for this Luna medicine is irritability, sadness, depression, headache, weakness of eye, feeling of sand in the eye, sensation of stinging, smarting in the eye, feeling of coldness in the head, bitter taste on the left side of the tongue, and increased salivation, soreness of throat, sore irritation, flatulency in the stomach and burning, abdominal colic, feeling of faintness in the stomach with distension, and profuse urination, immediate desire to pass stool after the flutter. Menses returns after 2 days after cessation. Sharp pain on left side of vagina, suffocation sensation around the heart, rapid pulse, and severe pain in sacral region, rheumatic pain in left bladder, and tendency to edema. So these are some, and this medicine also comes come under the repertory phenomena. So, but you have to be careful when you are prescribing the Luna medicine, because the symptoms totality and understanding each group. And the understanding about the Luna becomes more important when you go into the entire phases of the moon and its relationship. Now, there is another medicines which is a combinations medicine prepared, and it is known as the moon drop. And this is a combinations medicine. Although we do not allow the combinations to be discussed, yet this medicine is available in the market. So I am just mentioning it about it. So this moon drop a restless sleep, and by responding to the complexity of sleeplessness, and homeopathic sleep formulation helps quite persistent thought, ease emotions, stress, tones, digestion, and reduce sensitivity to noise and light, and soothes overstimulated nerves. Moon drops helps to adapt to change in sleep schedule due to the travel or when going through life transition. This natural sleep aid is non-habit forming and has no side effect. Now it contains the arsenic L30X potency, chamomilla 6X potency, coffea puda 12X potency, gelsemium 12C, ignatia 30X, lycopodium 30X, Netramuticum 30X, Naxvomica 30X, and Valerina. Why I am mentioning these medicines before you? Well, because I never use the combinations. Yet, going to the formulation of this medicine, it gives a hint. The complementary medicines or the related medicines that are very much close to the moon, and these medicines which have been used in this combination can be taken as a moon related remedy also. So that's why I have tried to mention this moon drops to you. So we are like the big moon. Our life is like a big moon. We still have our dark side. This is the Khalil Gibran. We have both. We shine, and we have the ability to decline. Shining and declining are the part of our life. So the big concept is, it is beautiful and delightful sight to behold the body of the moon. It was the Galileo Galilei who discovered the telescope, and he saw the moon in a bigger way. So dear moon, now this is beautiful poem I love. Don't you feel lonely in darkness, alone up there? Or is it why that you are so beautiful, my friend? Like me, sorrow you don't share. So why in the night when we see at the moon, we see how beautiful the moon is and how alone the moon is. So when you are alone, when you have the time to live with yourself, you have the time to enjoy the beauty of your own life. And this is the mention that we get understanding from this poem. So thank you, friends. Moon is not simply disappear when we look at the looking at. So any questions, you can find me at risdth@gmail.com, or you can write me to 9431020622. So with this PPT, my PPT presentation is complete, and we will come into the, if you have any questions, you can put me right now, or you can put me, because it is no direct talk with this session. We can have a, it will be better that you should write on the WhatsApp or the questions. I will be trying to reply all your questions. So thank you very much.